So we saw how to create a simple web application with the title, header, and drop down slider, how to display the values that we have selected. Now we saw how to display the filtered data. Now we would like to represent this summarized data frame. So we have player wise total runs. We would like to summarize them, meaning this is already a summarized data. We would like to visualize them. So there are a lot of libraries that are available for visualization. For example, Pandas itself has plotting capability. We will be using a library called Plotly. So this is very powerful and very interactive as well. So you have Plotly, you have Seaborn library for statistical data visualization. You also have something called as Bouquet, and this is in Python. But there is also, there are people who use these charts as well. So there are a lot of ways in which you can create visuals. All these probably they would have built it on top of Matplotlib, and this will be very powerful when you include them in your application. So what we are going to do, represent player wise total runs in a simple bar chart, but I will not display all the players. Probably I'll display top 10 players alone. So what we are going to do, instead of creating a data frame, I'm going to let this be there initially, but above the data frame or even below initially doesn't matter, but let's create a figure first of all. So here we are going to import the Plotly library. So make sure that in your requirements file you represent Plotly here, so that you check if it is installed in your machine. So you can open a new command prompt, do pip install -r requirements.txt. So make sure that you have Plotly installed, the package Plotly installed. Yeah, it's already there, so it doesn't matter. If it is not there, it will install one. So we don't need NLTK for now. So now you have to import Plotly. So import Plotly. There are multiple ways in which you can use Plotly library, and one option is to use Plotly Express, a quick way of importing and using their plotting capabilities. So import plotly.express as px. So that is something that you have to import, and then we'll say fig is equal to plot px dot bar, and we have to give the data frame. The data frame that we want to use for visualization is player wise total runs, and x-axis is player, y-axis is total runs, and we don't need all the players, so probably I'll pick top 10 alone here. So dot head 10 will pick top 10 players alone, because I've already sorted them based on total runs. So top 10 players for that particular country and for that particular year. So it's working on top of the filtered data. We are grouping by the same code that we wrote earlier. So we are grouping by country, player, and then we have players sorted based on total runs in the descending order, picking top 10 alone. So this data is passed here. So plotly.bar, so it's a bar chart that we are going to use. The data frame that we want to use is players total runs, x equal to player, that is x-axis is players column, y-axis is total runs. So once we have this figure, so probably if you want you can just name this figure, because you might create multiple plots. So we just create it as player wise total runs plot or figure. So you can just name based on the way you like. Now we just have to use st.plotly chart. So if you want to include Plotly chart, we'll just say the the whatever variable you use to save the plot, right? So that you can specify it here. That's it. So we should have player wise total runs bar chart available with us. So let's say always rerun. Yeah, so we have a very nice chart which has player wise total runs. So for example, in 1991 in India, Sanjay V. Manjrekar was having the highest run. So let's take for a few more years. So let's say for 1999, Sourav Ganguly is having total number of runs to be higher. Let's say 2003, Sachin R. Tendulkar. 2006, Rahul Dravid. I think Sachin didn't play much matches, or probably Rahul had a good year at that particular instant. So 2007 Sachin, 2009 Dhoni, 2010 Virat Kohli, and 2011 again Virat Kohli. So we have for different countries, for different players, their total number of runs, but top players alone we have for that particular year and for that particular country. So it's quite easy, and you can see both the chart as well as the data frame is getting updated, as well as the filters that we use are getting updated. So whatever we are using in the right hand side, the charts, titles, and the data frames should reflect the filters that we have. So make sure that when you display them, use the filtered data. That is very crucial. It's always good. So if you use Plotly library, it also has these mouse over details. So this is for Sourav Ganguly, total runs is 1328, whereas this is for let's say Rahul Dravid, it's 283. So it gives these mouse over details by default. You can also download the plot as PNG. You can zoom in, zoom out, and all those you can do, and reset the axis. And if you want to get it in a full screen, you can do that as well. So Plotly provides these options by default. So when you mouse over on top right, you get these options which comes by default. So it's good to have a title for this plot, right? So let's add a title. So before this chart, before I'm placing this chart, so I'll just say st.title top 10 players by total runs. It's good to have titles always. So you get to see the title slightly in very like a bold font, with the font size is also higher, and you have this. So if you can remove these, so as I said, during initial stages it's good to have, but as you get comfortable, you can hide them, not required. So let's take India and pick a thing. So you can set default values also. So later on you can learn how to do that. So you can see we have a very good a very good plot, and we can have the data frame as well here. So let's create one more chart. Probably I will create another data frame. So I will create player wise total centuries. So I'll use filtered data. I will use group by, same logic, country player dot agg centuries is equal to, I'm going to use runs column, but instead of min max, I'm going to write a lambda function here. So lambda v. So I will just check how many rows are having values greater than 99. That's it. Or greater than or equal to 100. So this will filter only those rows which has runs greater than or equal to 100, and it will give you basically true or false. And if I take sum of that, it's basically going to give, or you can also use count, not count, you can use len or something. Sum works as well. So basically total number of centuries, And in fact, you can do it here itself. So you don't have to create a new data frame for that. You can use the same data frame here to create an additional column. So let me do that. That will be easier. Best way is to write it in a single variable itself. You don't have to use two group bys unnecessarily. Okay, so instead you can also say players summary. So if you want to create it in a single group by object, so filtered data, group by country, player dot agg. So the first column will be total runs as usual, like what we did earlier, and the second column will be centuries. So it's also going to use runs column but a lambda function. So earlier it was simple summarization, it is sum, min, max, sum and all bit easy. But if you want some custom calculation like identifying how many rows have values greater than or equal to 100, you can use a custom function. So sum of v greater than or equal to 100. So instead of using player wise total runs all across, I can use player summary. So even here I can give player summary. Nothing wrong, because anyway the column total runs is going to be there, so that isn't a problem. While plotting the data frame also, I can plot player summary, and I need to repeat this. I need to set reset index, and I need to sort the values by total runs. You don't have to sort it here. While plotting you can sort it. So because you have two columns now, one for the total runs, another one for you have for centuries, total centuries. So while plotting, we'll pick top 10 and then sort it and then pick top 10. So if you want to write it in a single variable, you can use this. You can comment these two for now. You don't need them. So a single variable, first let's see how does it look like, then we will look at the centuries part. So we'll see how the data frame has two columns, one for total runs and one other for centuries. So we haven't sorted it, we haven't picked the top 10, we are just plotting all the players information. So players summary, so earlier it was players total runs, but now we have two columns. One is total runs, another one is total centuries. Both are computed column for each player. So sorting is not done. Picking top 5 or top 10 is not done. So keep that in mind. So when I refresh this, let's see, there is an issue where it is, where do we have this issue? Filtered data. Acha. So here it is not dot group by, I missed dot group by, yeah. So let's say I pick India, yeah. So I haven't sorted it, so bars are sorted by alphabetical order, and you can see we have two columns, one is total runs, another one is centuries. So if I pick for this column, we have highest number of centuries by Saurav Ganguly and Virendra Sehwag. And in 2000 we have more number of centuries from Sachin, or not centuries, sorry, runs. 2005, this is 2008, more number of runs from almost same from Gautam Gambhir and Mahendra Singh Dhoni. So if I look for 2010, it is from Virat Kohli. So it's almost same data, just that I have new column with me called centuries. It will tell me how many centuries each player has scored in that particular for that particular country and in that particular year. So here, while plotting it, I can sort the data, sort values, same thing, whatever we did here, I'm just reordering them. So we just have to put it over here. That is one thing. So if you check the output, so same chart we have now. just that I'm going to use a data frame. So I'm picking x-axis to be player, y-axis to be total runs. So it will ignore centuries in this particular plot, and then sorting it here and then picking the top 10. That is one. So this is one thing. So if I have another chart, let's say player wise centuries underscore fig is equal to, I'm going to create a new chart. Is also going to be a bar chart. Data frame is, so same data frame, but sort the values based on centuries column now instead of total runs. Ascending equal to false, and then pick top 10 or top 5 players, probably top 5 players you pick. So here as well I keep it to top 5 players for now. So you can go with top 10 as well. I don't think in a single year, sometimes if there is no top 10, 0 will also be considered. So you can filter that, make sure that players with 0 centuries should not come. So you can add those filters, little bit small filters here and there. But this is how we can filter. And data frame is this. X-axis is player again. Y-axis this time is centuries. Y-axis this time is centuries. Okay, so that is clear. Now, like what we did earlier, we'll have a title for this. Title: top 10 players by centuries, and we can say st.plotly chart. The same thing that I'm repeating, nothing new. Insert, that's the new chart, that's it. New chart is based on total centuries. So in order to create, so let me repeat. Earlier we created only one column. Player wise we computed total runs, but now I'm creating a new variable called player summary. Same filtered data, grouping by country and player. While doing aggregation, I'm creating two new columns. One is total runs, like what we did earlier. Another one is centuries. Centuries count the number of rows where the runs column has value greater than or equal to 100. That's the logic here. And I'm resetting so that the player name will move from index to column. So I'm not sorting it here because I need to create two charts, one for player wise total runs and another for player wise top centuries. So in which case upfront I do not know using which column I should sort. So I'm not sorting anything. By default it will be sorted based on player names. Alphabetically it will be sorted. So the first chart, I'm going to feed in the data frame player summary, but sorting it based on total runs in the descending order. I'm picking top 5 alone. And then x-axis is player, y-axis is total runs, and I'm giving a title for the chart. This is handler of that chart, and I'm giving a title for the chart, and I'm plotting. This is where actually I'm plotting. If I remove this, the chart will not come. Though you have declared the chart here, until I display it, it will not come. So st.plotly chart is what actually calls that plot and then displays it in the web page. So likewise, the second plot, player wise centuries. So it's a bar chart again, same data frame, players underscore summary. But this time I'm going to sort it based on centuries column. Earlier we tried sorting it on total runs column. And ascending equal to false. And top 10 or top 5 alone, we will pick it. Okay, now x is equal to player, y is equal to centuries. And we have a title, we have the plotly chart created. Now instead of total runs figure, it is player wise centuries figure. That's it. And while displaying the data frame also, I'm using player summary. That's it. So there is nothing new that we are doing, just that repeating the operation for different charts. So one we have player wise top 10 players by total runs, and another chart top 10 players, or you can just say players, top players by centuries. If it is not 10, just call it top 5 and top 5. So we'll have top players by total runs, top players by centuries. So you can see in 2010 from India, Virat Kohli has scored more number of centuries, and followed by Rohit Sharma, and then Gautam Gambhir, and Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and Yusuf Pathan, 1 century. So likewise, you will have the total runs as well. So two charts, one below each other. Reason why it is one below each other, because we have placed them one below each other. That's it.